Okay, this is Detective Romero. Today is March the 16th, 2014. The time is 22:27. And I'm with Detective. Can you state your name, please?
James Frederickson with BCSO.
This is Detective Romero with APD Violent Crimes. This is in reference to case number 1423683. And I am with Officer, what's your name?
Patrick Hernandez.
Okay. Patrick, what's your call sign?
1522.
Okay. And what's your man number?
3394.
Okay. And what unit are you with?
I'm with the open space unit.
Okay. So why don't you go ahead and tell me everything that happened with your call that we're out here for, starting with what time you were dispatched, why you were dispatched, and just go from there.
Okay, I don't recall the exact time we were dispatched. It was around 4.
Okay.
We were dispatched to 812, forget the name of the street now, Piedra Vista, 812 Piedra Vista. Myself and Officer McDaniel, who was the acting sergeant at this time, pulled up in front of that address, and the owner of the address came out and spoke with us. He informed us of a camp that was behind his residence in the adjacent open space area. He said the camp had been active for about 3 to 4 weeks. He had seen one individual there and possibly another younger individual frequenting the camp.
Okay.
And it is not allowed, it's against the law to camp in the open space.
Okay.
And we informed him that we would be, he actually walked to the backyard, and he showed us pointed out the location to where the camp was hidden in the rocks.
Okay.
You cannot actually see the physical camp from his backyard, but he gave us a direction to where we were at. And from there, we decided to leave in our patrol units and park our patrol units down at the copper entrance to the open space and walk in to attempt to locate the camp. And we walked in, started hiking into the area where it was located. We looked back at the residence, and the caller was pointing to our direction to the direction of the camp to make it easier on us. We did come up around a large outcropping of rocks, and Officer McDaniel was ahead of me, and he said, "I see the camp."
Okay.
And we started approaching the camp. As we approached, we identified ourselves as the Albuquerque Police Department. This time, Officer McDaniel told me, "Yeah, it's active. There's one inside." And I was behind him. At this time, Officer McDaniel was making a communication to the officer, or to the individual inside the tent, saying, "Let me see your hands. Let me see your hands." The individual would not let him. We did see one of his hands, but the individual kept one hand out of our view. This time, myself and Officer McDaniel did feel threatened by him refusing to obey the command that was given to him to show his hands, and we both drew our weapons, our duty weapons, and again, both of us gave verbal commands to let him see your hands several times. He finally did show both hands, and he was still sitting in the tent. It took him several times for him. We then informed him to, or directed him to get out of the tent, which did take several attempts. We did command him to get out of the tent several times, and he finally got out of the tent.
Okay.
He was getting out of the tent. Officer McDaniel was closer to the individual than I was, who was getting out of the tent. he was getting up, and I did see a knife in the right front pocket of the subject. It was clipped onto his right front pocket. At this time, I didn't know if Officer McDaniel had seen it, so I informed him by saying John knife. And this time, we had actually asked him before to turn around so we could pat him down for any possible weapons on him. And as Officer McDaniel was attempting to pat him down, the subject immediately reached down in both pockets and pulled out 2 knives from his pockets. This time, myself and Officer McDaniel, we retreated quickly, and the individual was able to open the knives and had them pointing down in a downward position. And this time, we pointed our weapons at the individual and told him to drop the weapon as we retreated back. And we retreated to a safe distance due to the fact that the individual was not approaching us. But he still had his weapons out. And this time, again, he gave many commands to drop the weapons. And he said, no, I'm not dropping my weapons. You're attacking me. He kept telling us, you're attacking me. And I did get on the radio and advised dispatch that we had one at gunpoint. The subject was armed with 2 knives and requested 82. And again, we started a conversation with the subject to again telling him to put the knife down. We were talking about different things. He was telling us that he was involved with Special Forces, CIA, and kept saying that we were intruding on him, we were attacking him, and said, nobody's attacking you. We just tell him, put down your weapons. And he had his knives in his hands, and after several minutes, it went by, 5 to 10 minutes, he had the weapons, put them in one hand, 2 knives, and then put them in his right front pocket. And they're still open. They were folding knives. And they're about 3 to 4 inches in length. Again, he kept saying that I needed to call an individual from the CIA. He had his phone. And he showed me. He asked me to get his phone so he could show me who to call. And he's talking about that he was in a special operations unit, and I don't recall exactly what it was. And let's see. Again, we'd start to have conversations with him to calm the individual down, to keep time, burn up time until we had backup arrive. We were able to keep the individual calm. He did not forcefully lunge at us or anything as backup arrived. We all took positions around him. I believe there's 1, 2, 3, 4 backup officers arrived. 2 with beanbags, 1 with the AR, and the sergeant on duty for the foothills arrived. And again, one of the officers was the CIT, and had dialogue with the individual. Had a good rapport with him. And then the sergeant had a rapport with him and started talking to him, and then the individual got mad at the sergeant and was yelling at him and said, I don't want to talk to you anymore. And then he says, I need to talk to state police. I need a state police liaison. Can I talk to state police liaison? And the sergeant called state police if they had a unit in the area just to see if we could utilize that, I believe, to talk the subject into complying. So, 2 state police officers arrived, one before the other, probably about 20 minutes before the other one arrived, and to attempt to assist us. So at that time there was 4, 5, 6, there was, I believe, 8 officers in the immediate vicinity of the subject, attempting to bring him down. I'd like to also to insert that the sergeant also given commands for the individual not to cross a certain rock. If he crossed this certain location by this rock, he would be beanbagged. And the individual would come up and approach that rock, and the beanbags and the weapons would go up and point at him, and he'd stop, and then he'd retreat.
Okay.
And again, he knew his the limit there. So at this time, tactical units started arriving. Canine started arriving. I was told to come down from my position by the sergeant. I took up a perimeter position on the southwest corner of the crime scene, of the scene, and I advised the people not to, trail users not to go into the scene.
Okay.
I was then stayed there for probably about half an hour, 45 minutes. And this time I was approached by the sergeant. He asked me if I could bring my unit up into the area. And I said yes. So I went down to get my unit. I backed out and drove my unit up to a location close to the scene, but not too close. I didn't want to affect the dialogue they had going. And this time I was sitting there probably about 45 minutes again, about 30 minutes. And then I heard a loud bang, which when I was looking up the hill, I just saw a big flash. So I believed it to be a flash bang.
Okay.
And then I was probably about a quarter mile off in the distance. I could just see a lot of movement going up towards the mountain.
Okay.
And at that time I drove up closer to the scene. And I think that's about it.
Okay. So let me just go back and ask you some questions just for clarification. Okay.
Can I steal a piece of your gum here?
Of course.
Thank you.
So you were, I know, I like that. That's the good stuff. So you were dispatched about 1600 with Officer McDaniel, who's also in open space?
Yes.
Okay. Because the owner at 812 Piedra Vista said that there were campers pretty much like in the back of, not in the back of his yard, but up the mountain from his yard, right?
Yes.
So he points you guys out to them. You guys are okay, we're going to have him leave because it's illegal. You guys get to the camp. What did the camp look like?
The camp was, had 4 or 5 backpacks in there, different various sizes. I could see some food items, water. It had a clear tarp that was put over for protection from the elements.
So it was clearly a campsite. Okay. So you guys go up there, you see one individual. You're asking him to show his hands. At first he doesn't. Finally he does. He comes out of the tent. You guys are trying to talk with him. When you were talking to him, what was his demeanor? What did he appear like to you?
He was just angry. He was mad that we were there.
Okay.
He's always had an angry demeanor about him.
Okay. Did he sound like he was coherent?
Yeah.
Okay.
He did.
Okay. So you guys get out there, you're talking with him, he's angry, you guys want to go ahead and pat him down. Your partner was going to pat him down. Did he start to pat him down?
He was right, the second probably before he laid a hand on him is when he pulled the knives. He just
pulled out both knives?
Yeah.
When he pulled out both knives, you guys retreated?
Yes.
Okay. Before that, you had your weapons drawn, though?
Yes, because of his hands. And
because he wasn't showing his hand and you saw the clip knife in his pocket. Okay. When he pulled out the knives, he opened them. About how big were the knives?
They're about 3 to 4 inches in length.
Okay. What about the blades?
They're silver in color. Yeah, the blades are 3 to 4 inches.
The blades are 3 to 4 inches.
They're folding knives.
So you guys saw the knives. He was pointing them in a downward position in both hands?
Yes.
One in each hand, correct?
Yes.
Okay. He just kept refusing to obey commands. You advised DP, hey, we have this guy at gunpoint. He's armed with 2 knives. We need 82. So he starts talking about being in Special Forces and CIA. Was he making sense to you at that point, or what were you starting to think?
No, he's making too much sense. He was apparently suffering from some delusional, psychotic episode, I guess.
That's what you figured? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, at another point as you're talking to him, he puts both knives in his right hand, in his hand, and then in his right front pocket, still open.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
then he asked you to get his phone.
Yeah.
Did you get his phone?
No, I didn't. I asked him to put it down on a rock that was adjacent to him, close to him, and I would attempt to retrieve it if he would put the knives away. Put the knives down. And he said, "No, I'm not going to disarm myself.
But
There's
that
no
never
way."
happened.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you got 82 there. You had less lethal. You had bean bags, 1 AR. The CIT arrived, started building rapport with him. Then he was saying he wanted state police, so you guys had state police come over. As all this conversation is going back and forth, you're still there. Tactical and K9 show up, and then you're pulled off the scene. And you're told to go to the southwest corner of the scene, just stopping people that are hiking up the trail. Okay. Where were you at when you heard the flashbang?
I was sitting in my unit.
Okay. So did you see any of this that was happening?
I could see the flashbang go off.
You saw the flashbang?
But again, I was about a quarter mile off.
Okay.
On the trail. I brought my unit up from a different access point off Copper. And I saw the flashbang and heard it go off.
Okay. Did you hear anything else?
I heard several pops.
Okay.
About 4 to 5 pops, which sounded like gunfire.
Okay. Did you shoot your weapon at all?
No.
Okay. Did you use less lethal at all? Okay. Did you see who shot? Anything?
No.
Okay. You were in your car.
Yeah.
About how far were you away?
About a quarter mile.
Oh, okay. So you were pretty far away.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that I haven't asked you that you think is important to this investigation, or that you want to add?
No.
Okay.
Covered it.
Detective Fredrickson, anything else?
Nope.
Okay. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to draw a map for us.
Okay.
Because we're not familiar with the terrain. We haven't been out there. Just kind of, if you'll draw where the house is located that you first made 25 with the owner of, where the campsite is, where you made 25 with him, the subject the first time, and then where you were deployed to the second time, and then where your unit was parked when the flashbang went out. And that's it.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and conclude the interview then, and the time is 22:45.